This video is brought to you by
Cool green clothing coming straight up out of that DMV. You know what it is. This that Baltimore designer right here. Come on now, come and show some love and show some support. Go online right now, coolgreenclothing.com, and make your purchase. Oh yeah, by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way, and that's just basic.
What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. When we step foot out in the world every day, we all expect to handle whatever business we have, hope to stay safe, and make it home in one piece. Some people stay to themselves because they feel the less people that are in your circle, the better. Meaning you don't have to deal with other people's personalities or drama, just focus on yourself and your own situation. But others believe in walking out their home and finding opportunities, whether it's meeting a person that adds some kind of value to their life or just chopping it up and networking on a daily. As some believe in being outgoing and creating relationships, it could be anything, like catching a lift to work and talking to the driver. Y'all become cool, he or she decides I'm gonna give you my personal number. That way, when you ever need a ride, you don't have to go through the app. You pay them cash and y'all both win. You might get a discount because the ride services be taxing and the driver doesn't have to give a percentage to whoever they working for. Kind of like a side hustle and money under the table. That seems harmless, right? But in the world we live in, something as simple as doing a little business under the table can go left depending on the circumstances and what type of person you are dealing with. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be taking it all the way back to 2016 to discuss a case of a side hustle that led to a fatal feud. In 2015, Kenneth Collins was a 45-year-old barber and father of 3. Life was good for the man, who was in a committed relationship with his girlfriend, who we will call Toya, for over 8 years and thinking about getting married. The couple had just rented a nice home in the summer of 2015, and they were both excited about their new beginning. The owner of the property cut off the gas and electric, which was under BG&E, or for out-of-towners, that's Baltimore Gas and Electric. Kenneth was supposed to get the bill transferred in his name with the company and get the power restored. But working at Rod's Barbershop on Monument Street, he encountered a lot of people every day while cutting hair. One of his clients at the time was a 31-year-old man named Andre Mosby. Andre and Kenneth had built a relationship from him coming by the shop, and Kenneth also remembered Dre was an outside contractor for BG&E and restored people's power for the low. It was a side hustle that he normally did. It would work out for the person renting the house because they would pay Dre a few $100s, get the power on, but wouldn't have a monthly bill, just a one-time payment to him. But the thing is, not to get caught, like most under-the-table operations. Around about September 2015, Kenneth called Dre like, yo, I need you to do what you do at my new spot me and my girl just moved into. He told him no problem and he would slide through. While Kenneth was at the barbershop, Dre went outside the home one day to the meter, did some things, and after a few minutes, the power was back on at the house. Toya was home at the time and called Kenneth, in which he instructed her, like, go ahead and pay Dre $350 for the service. Things seemed smooth for a few months, but then BG&E started to realize it was power running to a lot of homes in which either no accounts had been set up for or they cut it off because the bill wasn't paid. So they sent a security specialist from the company to investigate for meter fraud. A name they looked into was Andre. They realized he was a subcontractor for the company and had the knowledge and tools to work under the radar. They made no contact at first with Dre. Instead, they went to a few homes in which they felt had illegally cut the power back on. and talked to residents. One of them was Kenneth. The company told him he owed $1,800 for the power in his home and cut it off, and asked who cut it on in the first place. As Dre started getting hot and his hustle was slowing down, he felt Kenneth might have told the company on him. Kenneth told Dre about BG&E cutting off his power and how much he owed them. Around about February 2016, Toya noticed Kenneth was acting weird, like looking out the door all the time, locking the barbershop up in between customers, driving home using back streets, playing his rearview mirror a lot in the car, even walking in the house first, leaving her in the whip when they got home, and flashing a bright light to make sure no one was inside. He lost about 20 pounds, like he was stressing about something. Kenneth had also introduced Dre to a few of his peoples, his girl and his right-hand man, who we will call Joe. Fast forward to March 15th, 2016, Kenneth called Joe from the shop like 8 p.m. Like, yo, I need a ride home. Joe told him 10-4, I got you, bro. I'll be there. That night, Kenneth was supposed to close up the shop. Joe pulled up, parked outside the shop on Monument Street, waited for his mans to finish up. While waiting, he saw somebody else he knew from around the way. The two started chopping it up. Not long after, a man bopped by, peeped inside the shop, and kept walking. Joe looked up and noticed a familiar face across the street. It looked like Dre, but he paid it no mind. A few minutes later, the first man walked back and started shooting in the shop. Joe's homie told him, like, yo, I think they shooting at your man's Kenneth. Joe and the other man bopped off fast a few stores down to JJ's on Monument and Port. They walked inside the carryout and saw a man walk past with his head down, tucking something in his waistband. As they watched him meet up with Dre, and the men left. Joe called police, who responded to the shop to find Kenneth suffering from one gunshot wound to the head and one to the back. Unfortunately, he was pronounced gone on the scene. Joe told them he saw Dre talking to the man who shot. As detectives looked at surveillance footage from the area, they noticed the two men walking together before Dre walked to the opposite side of the street to make a phone call, minutes before the hit. Some sunglasses was found at the scene. Also Kenneth's cell phone, in which one of his contacts was BG&E man Dre. As detectives gave Kenneth's family the news, they were devastated and held a vigil for him at the barbershop. Everybody in the community said he was funny and took pride in his work, and claimed they didn't have to do him like that. But police already was on Dre's heels. They pulled Dre's phone records from that day of the hit. His location showed he was at White Marsh earlier that day at a restaurant with another man. They watched footage that showed the men have lunch and drinks before they both got back into a Ford Expedition and pulled off. This was a few hours before the incident. Police tracked Dre's phone to Monument Street a little after 8 p.m., minutes before Kenneth was hit. Surveillance in the area showed him and the man he had lunch with earlier park, hop out the whip together, talk for a minute, and walk separate ways up Monument Street. Minutes after the shooting, Dre's phone pinged to a home in West Baltimore. BPD went to the home and saw the Expedition parked outside. They knocked on the door and the man opened up. He stated he was Dre's stepfather. When they asked about Dre and the Expedition, the man stated Dre and another man had pulled up to his home about 2 days prior. He stated he saw them with something that looked like a gun. He also said they wanted to go to the casino. Dre told him, like, let me drive your Corvette and you drive the Expedition, in which the man agreed. But 3 days had passed and Dre still had his car. Police searched the Expedition and found spent shell casings matching bullets found at the shop. Also, forensics was done on the glasses found at the scene. DNA from skin cells showed they belonged to a man named Ignatius Lawrence. About 4 days after the barbershop hit on Kenneth, police sat outside of Dre's job and saw the Corvette parked in the parking lot. They also realized a man who fit the description of the shooter that Joe gave them was standing outside. As Dre exited the building, BPD jumped out on both of the men and took them into custody. The second man was determined to be Ignatius. Detectives asked Dre about his BG&E subcontractor job, illegal connections, and Kenneth. They told him they tracked his movements all day, the day of the hit. It showed him at White Marsh with Ignatius and on Monument Street talking on the phone at the time of the shooting. Then him and the man running back to the expedition. Dre looked confused at first and didn't say anything, but as he realized Joe and Toya and his stepfather gave up information, he messed up and stated, "I knew I shouldn't have trusted, yo." When police asked who, he stated Kenneth. He stated, "I don't know what I was thinking," indicating he did in fact feel like the man told the company on him and was mad that his side hustle was compromised. Both Andre and Ignatius was taken into custody, charged with first-degree premeditated hit and handgun violations. As the case started making its way to trial, Joe testified, Toya, Dre's stepfather, and others. The surveillance video and testimonies was enough to get Dre found guilty. He was sentenced to 50 years, but the charges was dropped to second degree, as it was determined he set up the play, but he wasn't the trigger man. Ignatius was found guilty of first-degree hit and given a life sentence. Rest in peace to Kenneth. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to his family. It's crazy how something so small as free gas and electric can lead to a full-blown hit. Kenneth seemed to already know Dre was on him. He probably didn't want his girl to worry, so he kept it to himself. A petty feud about a side hustle cost Kenneth his life, and Dre with 50 years. He could have just let it go. He was under investigation, but still had his job. You turn a little white collar petty crime to a whole 50 slices. As far as the alleged trigger man, you let another man convince you to go on a dummy mission because his business got messed up. That's crazy. He must have told Ignatius he would pay him. Either way, all this happened because of $350 and some illegal BG&E. Petty situations turn the families grieving for years and too many lives cut short. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Man, crazy story. Rest in peace to that man. I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.